I got into storm chasing probably because I was into tornadoes from when I was a little kid, and I blame The Wizard of Oz partly for that, because I just loved Toto and Dorothy and the whole idea of a tornado. That's still one of the best tornadoes I've ever seen in a movie or anywhere. It was made with basically a big muslin windsock kind of thing, and they blew a bunch of dirt around the base of it, and that's how they did the tornado in that movie. In 1997, I did an internet search, and I found a storm chasing tour. And I was just looking for tornadoes, and I was really shocked that like anybody could actually go storm chasing. I thought only people who were scientists got to go storm chasing. But I still became totally entranced with the weather, because out there you get the big sculpted supercells. It's just beautiful. And as the years went by, I saw better and better things, like this amazing supercell in 2001 in the Texas Panhandle. That's not a tornado, but you can see from the structure, it's rotating like crazy. And that's the kind of thing that draws me to the plains again and again, seeing beautiful spectacles like this. But Tornado Alley is the main place where people who love chasing storms like to go, because there's nowhere else in the world that has this many tornadoes and this many dramatic storms. And this is a NOAA graphic, but it gives you an idea of where we go and why. You get warm, moist air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, which provides ample fuel for the storms. You get cold fronts coming in, and the jet stream providing energy and boundaries where these storms form. You get the warm, dry air coming out of the southwest, which sets up a dry line, again, setting up a boundary between wet and dry air masses. Anytime you have any kind of boundary like that, that can be a trigger for storms. So basically, it's perfect conditions, plus you can see the storms forever in the plains. Other places obviously get tornadoes. You know, Mississippi had that terrible outbreak recently, and Arkansas and everything, but you have trees and you have hills, so it's not ideal for storm chasing. What we hope comes together as a storm chaser are the ingredients for a supercell. This is a very large rotating storm. They're kind of rare here in Florida. I won't go into all the parts, but you learn to recognize the parts of the storm. This is what you would call a classic supercell. They're not all like this. In fact, part of the appeal of storm chasing is every storm is different, and you learned a lot, it's like a science class, just with every storm you chase. And it's certainly not as easy as the movie Twister. How many of you have seen that movie? Well, you saw that movie. You all haven't seen it? It's been around since '96, and it's very entertaining. But these folks see like 10 tornadoes in a day, and they have time for a leisurely steak lunch, and usually that's not the way it occurs. Actually, what happens is often the night before, we'll have driven kind of to the area where we think there's going to be storms the next day, so you don't have to drive through 4 states in one day, which is often impossible out west. You do your forecast in the morning, looking at data on the internet, and there's a lot of stuff publicly available on the internet. So as storm chasers, especially if you don't live in Tornado Alley, and I have a lot of friends who come out from Canada, New York, or Virginia to chase storms here every year, you bring everything with you. You have your laptop, you have your camera mounts. Dave has his prairie dog there on the steering wheel. And you pack cameras, cards, media, chargers for everything, computers. I was using a Wi-Fi hotspot this year, which was great. As long as you have a cellular signal, then you can have an internet signal in the car, which means you can get radar almost constantly, which is great. And signals are getting better and better in Tornado Alley, except for like northwest Oklahoma. It's pretty good pretty much everywhere. You have your weather radio, you might have a scanner so you can listen to storm spotter networks, ham radio for car-to-car communication. And the hobby can get expensive, and I have kids write to me sometimes and they say, oh, I want to be a storm chaser when I grow up, how do I do that? And I'm like, well, it's not really a job. For a few people who are on TV, it might be a job, but for most of us, it's a hobby. Or if you're a meteorologist, it might be part of your job. A small part of your job is a research meteorologist, for instance. But the rest of us are paying for all this, and we try to anticipate costs, including surprise costs. That might be a flat tire, or it might be something worse. My friends here have put Lexan shields on the windows of this Xterra. That's what those funky clear things are. The one on the driver's side folds up. There's a kind of a cage that folds over the front windshield, and that's to protect the car from hail, because when you're near a tornado, chances are you're going to be near hail as well. And I'll show you what that can mean to a car. This was May 12, 2005. Saw this beautiful tornado in the Texas Panhandle, and we knew from the radar signature, me and my car and friends in other cars, that there was big hail associated with the storm. Well, a lot of times tornadoes, they'll move east or northeast. If you're east of it, you're going to stay pretty safe, east or south. In this case, the tornado began to move southeast toward the road, the north-south road that we were all on. And we kind of had a choice to make. You can either stay where you are and avoid tangling with the tornado, or you can try to beat the tornado, drive south, and get south before it crosses the road, and maybe avoid the hail. Well, for me, the choice was I do not want to try to tangle with the tornado. Plus, I was getting really good footage. But the cost of that was, when the tornado crossed the road, it knocked down several telephone poles, and those blocked the road. So it really blocked the escape route from the hail. We were fine as far as the tornado was concerned, but we got hammered by the hail. And what that meant was severe damage to my car. Lost a couple windows, lights broken, metal busted up on the car, and I have a prop for this. This is a fender from my Honda Element at the time, and you can see where the softball-sized hailstones hit. Big hailstones, very hard. So this can really mess up your car, and it can kill people. Occasionally it does. Now this is a fake photo from the Twister publicity, and you gotta love the flying cow, but rarely is storm chasing this extreme. All right, Storm Chasers on Discovery features Reed Timmer, really good at finding tornadoes, and he added a lot of drama to the show because he gets very excited when there's a tornado, and he drives the Dominator, which is this little armored car he has. And then Sean Casey, he created this tank called the Tornado Intercept Vehicle, or the TIV. And I actually took this picture at the Orlando Science Center when it visited there recently, because his IMAX movie is playing there. But this thing, it's like a tin can, and he gets up in this turret and he films his IMAX movies from up in that turret. And the idea is those side pieces shoot into the ground and hold it steady in a tornado. Now, even he will not drive into a very strong tornado because he knows that the tornado will toss this tank, just as it has tossed train cars, just as they tossed tractor trailers. If you saw any of the footage from the Texas tornadoes early in the spring this year, there was this amazing shot of a tornado hitting a lot full of tractor trailers, and they're just swirling up into the sky. Like, it looked like a movie effect. It was crazy. So yeah, even they know that they can't drive into a big tornado. And just the reality of it, they're actually, maybe you see 1 or 2 tornadoes, or you have 1 or 2 tornado days and maybe 10 chase days. I mean, a lot of times there are down days where you just get that sunburn that they're talking about in the movie. Some days you don't expect to see anything, and then you see something like this. This day, no severe storms were expected. This storm, a friend and I were chasing together, and we basically stumbled across these storms in northern Kansas, and it was tornado warned. We didn't see a tornado with it, but it's still one of the most beautiful supercells I've ever seen. And it's that serendipity that kind of gets you excited and keeps you going with the storm chasing, because it is exhausting. You're on the road for days on end, for thousands of miles, and you have to love driving, you have to love the little towns, and you have to love seeing the country. If that stuff bores you, you will not like storm chasing. So just basically in summary, I chase storms because of the drama of nature. It's not just about tornadoes for me. There are a few storm chasers who will say they only do it for the tornadoes. And to me, that's just not the whole picture, because you get to see rainbows and mammatus clouds and lightning, and you get to see the country, and you get to travel, and you're just following the whims of nature. And to me, that's the best part of it.